What's up, guys? Welcome to another video of DevTalks with your host Travian, where we talk about everything engineering and technology wise. In this video, we're actually going to dive into Hyundai. And the reason why we're diving into Hyundai's new plant is because I saw some technology we got to cover it. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And let's dive into what's going on with Hyundai.
EV plant in Georgia. Of course, as the Trump administration pushes automakers for more production here in the United States. You saw Phil LeBeau moments ago with the cars and some robots, and he joins us again. Tell us exactly what's going on there, Phil.
David, you mentioned robots. I bring you robots. Check this out. Boston Dynamics, which is 90% owned by the Hyundai Group, they are a big part of the robots from Boston Dynamics, a big part of checking the manufacturing quality of this Ioniq 5, also Ioniq 9s that come through here. Every body of every vehicle that comes off the line is inspected by these robots to make sure that the holes are drilled in the right spot, the weld joints are in the right spot. Essentially, it's quality control. It's also a little freaky when the first time you see it out here, but this is a peek at future of manufacturing here in the United States. Really, it's manufacturing around the world. How important is this plant, not only for Hyundai, but in terms of auto manufacturing? Keep in mind that just over 54% of the vehicles sold in the United States are built in the United States, and more than 8% are imported from Korea. Though Hyundai believes that as this plant starts to spool up production, it will be importing fewer from Korea and selling more of the vehicles it builds here in the United States. This plant has the capacity to ultimately build 300,000 vehicles, though they could expand that up to 500,000 vehicles annually. And for Hyundai, the growth continues. We've talked about.
So let's just take a quick moment before they go on to the next topic real quick. One thing that I never knew, Boston Dynamics was mainly owned by Hyundai, I believe he said. I need to double check on that, but that is insane. And what I actually want to say about this is technology in the plants and everything, and how we revolutionize technology should do two things, right? Especially when it comes to replacing who used to do this, right? This doesn't mean that, I don't think that this means, I've never worked in a plant exactly for cars and whatnot, but this doesn't mean that, hey, they won't have a person still go over and look over some stuff. Maybe it's not as many people that they used to have for quality assurance and making sure with QA and things, but I think there's a huge benefit of having these robotics go through it, especially to make sure that everything pops out and turns out the way it is supposed to be 100%. And this goes into why I say technology should be used for two different ways. One, to make a job safer or save lives, and to just for certain efficiencies to do better efficiencies or make sure that the quality is still better. And the reason why I say this is because a robotic, when it's given certain things like this, right? These Boston Dynamics robots, they are given a type of schematic and something inside of them to be able to scan the entire car to make sure everything is where it's supposed to be, right? And they're able to trace this whole car out that they're scanning and make sure it's 100% the way it needs to be. A person varies. So when you come into different positions and things, when I say like them doing this for quality assurance and QA, I think it's a really good thing because you're taking away that variable of a human being. And I have conversations with people all the time about certain stuff and how we can put guidelines, and it's really tough for people to want to put guidelines on themselves because a human being is the most unpredictable species there is. We are just very 100% unpredictable, and it's 100%, we know for 100% sure that we are going to make a mistake somewhere. So when you have robots like this to go scan and make sure everything's okay and that the quality's okay, you take away that human error portion. There's certain things where human error just can't be allowed. Yes, they're going to have jobs still in here because at the title it says Hyundai is going to hire 8,500 people just for this building, even though we don't see people in this shot. We saw people down the line earlier, but this is like such a big thing. Like, you get to take away the variable of human error from making a mistake, and you know what this is going to do? It's going to save Hyundai more money. And if you want to know how that's going to be, recalls. What is something that happens all the time? All the time, you see recalls from all these different car companies. Even when the Cybertruck first came out, there was recalls on it because the pedal slipped off and it was an error and things like that. There's certain things that we just need to take the variable off, because if a person did this, you're telling me that person's going to be 100% on every single car. All it takes is something like this to happen to one or a few cars on that one specific day, and now they have to recall all of them, or take them all, or make sure it's all good. And it's a waste of money for them. So they would rather take away that human error element and that unpredictable element, because you never know what's going to happen that day. And you can still have people overlook these vehicles and stuff. So seeing robots and stuff do things like this, it's understandable. I'm okay with it. Especially if you're a driver, you want to make sure that everything is okay with the drive. Driving is dangerous. I just had a conversation the other day between what's more dangerous, flying a plane or driving a car. And obviously, even if driving a car is way more dangerous, how can we prevent stuff like this? Recalls happen for certain reasons. Like that whole Cybertruck incident. If there was an incident and a huge accident because the pedal got stuck and you just couldn't decelerate it at all, or use the brake, even though you could have used the brake still in that case. But what if an accident happened and a crazy thing happened? Lives are at risk at that point. Especially those Cybertrucks are dang near tanks. So you want to get rid of that to make it a lot safer. And it's just, I think that's exactly fine. I think it's fine to do things like this and implement robotics in ways in this manner. And it's really cool to see. Like, the warehouse looks really clean. Like, I don't know where else to put it. And another thing, they can keep these robots doing this all day. They can change the shifts on other people. Hey, they can make sure this is going to be good all day. And they probably have robots doing it at later stages as well too. They probably do several rounds of this also, but they're not showing it right now. Maybe at the end of the video they'll show the full thing, but they're not showing it right now. So I don't know. Let's continue.
About this for a long time. Hyundai Kia has been on a steady growth trajectory here in the United States. Now the fourth largest automaker. Sales last year up 3.3%. And this plant is focused strictly on EVs. Though when you talk with Hyundai executives, it's pretty clear. They realize the future is not just EVs, but also hybrids and internal combustion engine vehicles. They now have 3 plants open in the United States. And later today, we're going to hear from the CEO of Hyundai, Jose Munoz. We'll talk to him about his thoughts about the future of manufacturing, especially given the emphasis that is being put on it when it comes to the White House and its push for more domestic manufacturing automobiles. Guys, I'll send it back to you while I hang out with my robotic friends here.
We were just talking about this, Phil. We were literally just talking about whether if the Trump administration can be successful, and Hyundai is a good example of getting more cars built in the U.S. Though we don't see many workers behind you, just robots. So how many people does it take to fill a plant like this?
Well, here, we'll show you the robots. Here, let's stay on the robots only because it is pretty fascinating just to watch them. Yes. But then I'm going to show you that. There we go. He's doing his thing. And look, this is not the only manufacturing plant that has robots doing this type of work. We're seeing this more and more in all industries when it comes to manufacturing. You're just going to start to see it increase dramatically, right, I would say, over the next decade. But in terms of people, guys, let me show you right back here. Look, there's scores of people here. 8,500 will ultimately work at this plant. And then when you add the suppliers in the area, they expect another 6,500 jobs to be created. Some of them have already been created. There are already suppliers in this area. So it's not like the robots are taking over and we will never see humans working in an auto plant. It's just that this is going to be augmenting the work of humans. Quality control is number one on the list of things that they want to make sure they, this factory is known for.
So that's a preview into the next video that we're going to be covering. So, like I was going to say, continue on from here. He said it there, a lot of plants are going to be taking over quality control. And taking over quality control is going to mean a few things. Like it's just the main part is getting rid of the error portion, and we're still going to have people taking on these jobs. I don't think no matter what happens, and no matter what jobs are being replaced, replacing humans at particular plants or anything in that aspect at all. The one thing that's going to stay the same is there is going to be a type of person in all of these areas. It doesn't matter how many there's going to be. If a new plant opens up, it does mean more jobs. And as he said, there's 8,500 people that are going to work through that plant, and they're all going to have different shifts and things in that regard, of course. And they're all going to have different titles and things. And yes, maybe there's not a QA person anymore that works in these plants, which I think is a better thing. Overall, as a driver and a person who drives cars, I don't drive Hyundai in particular, but it just makes it seem more safer. It makes you think that your product is going to be more reliable when they're able to do it more efficiently and better than just a normal person is going to be. And there's still going to be other jobs, but the main thing for all of this is our type of work is going to change. So a lot of these jobs and positions are going to shift, and especially for engineers. We talk about it all the time, and I've seen people talk about, hey, I don't want to hear you talking about AI is going to replace an engineer, and you've never been an engineer a day in your life. And I take that seriously because you don't know what you're talking about. A lot of people don't know what they're talking about, what's going on, until you really learn how to work with these things. I believe what we're going to really shift into is how are we going to leverage and work with technology in this stance. We're going to have robots right next to us all the time. How are we going to be able to work with them to be better and do better stuff? And our jobs are going to shift as well too as part of it. And that's just going to be the biggest thing. The job market and everything is going to shift. The types of jobs are going to shift, and they're going to come out with new different types of jobs that go along with it. Yes, they don't have somebody to do that anymore, but we just have to figure out how to change entirely. And when new people come up and new people have different skill sets and things like that, and we're trying to tell people what they should go into, we are going to more or less likely tell them to go into different job markets depending on our need, especially with robotics coming around. We're not going to be telling people, hey, be a cashier or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out. There's certain jobs that can be replaced really easily with a robotic person and robots in general, but there's going to be other positions available. That's why I say, hey, when it comes to being a software engineer, it's probably best to focus somewhere on the lines of AI right now. People will be telling everybody, hey, get a focus in AI or cybersecurity or something like that in that regard, or data. There's going to be a few that are really strong and always going to be needed and for people to focus on. But then you go at hey, I don't agree with saying, hey, let somebody who's a front-end web developer go into doing that. Front-end web already gets paid less as an engineer, for instance, and if people can leverage AI and other engineers that aren't true front-end engineers, but they understand web design to some sense and they've done it before. We've all done it in college. I believe everybody who's graduated from a university and got a bachelor's with a computer science degree has done front web development work. And if you were able to use just AI to make it even easier, that's just what it is. The position's just going to become even easier to do for that particular subset of engineering. But every other engineering, certain stuff becomes easier still, but it's also, they have different parameters that go into it. And there's still a bunch of stuff you have to test for and make sure it's there. And AI just isn't at that point right now to completely replace an engineer and how we think. There's a lot of skills that come into being an engineer that aren't even just about coding. And if you don't know that, then I'm sorry to let you know. We can dive more into this on my personal channel, but let me know what you guys think about this video in the comments down below. Let me know how you think about the plants using robotics in this way. And this is one of the first times besides Amazon that we've seen robotics coexist with humans in a factory and make sure that everything is okay. And we're going to get used to seeing this a lot more as time goes on. But feel free to let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I love to hear what you guys have to say. If you want to request me to react to anything in particular, send me an email at devtalkspod@gmail.com. It's also going to be in the description down below. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. I really appreciate you guys. I really love all the support we've gotten so far. And just thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And peace. See y'all next time.